for some reason I was awake at 5 a.m. and I happened to scroll through social media because I was mining memes, as I do every time my eyes open, which is a problem actually. But this thing, I'm just going to try and put the picture here. This thing came down my news feed and I was thinking, really? Of all of the things that are happening in the world at this point, this is still an argument? This is still a thing? Who is making this stuff up? Are people this crazy? There is no such thing. Unless you're going to go to a store, kit yourself out in a full ceremonial, stereotypical dress up, and then continue to make a fool of yourself pretending to represent a culture. That's kind of offensive. Yeah, I get that. Okay. But if you just want to cornrow your hair because you happen to be competing in an MMA fight and you have white skin, that has nothing to do with anything. I have friends that have had to do that. It's functional. It works for what you're trying to do. That has nothing to do with them trying to steal something from a culture or anything like that. That doesn't cross the minds of people that are sane. And regular braids as well. Like we all can't braid our hair to get it out of our face. Get the fuck, really? Oh my goodness. So you're telling me that in the middle of England hundreds of years ago, people that did that were copying something that they'd seen on TV? Get over it. Because it goes back the other way as well. This is the thing. I'm not just saying this about one specific type of person or one race of person or anything like that. It goes back the other way. So what is it like when your hair is different and you have a different skin tone, but you chemically straighten your hair and bleach it blonde? Isn't that some kind of cultural appropriation? To me, it doesn't matter. I think everyone, I'm just like, you go girl, do whatever you want, whatever your aesthetic is, whatever you want to look like in the mirror on that day, you go for it. I don't care. And I don't think anyone else should care either. It's that person's business. No one seems to be trying to be anything. And I've seen horrible videos of people coming after, I saw one of a girl yelling at a male who had dreadlocks in his hair, saying that he was culturally appropriating something and really having a go at him. And I think that says more about that woman than the guy. How crazy are you to fixate yourself on someone else's aesthetic and just go nuts on it for no reason? He wasn't flashing a body part. He wasn't doing anything overtly offensive. He just happened to wake up that morning, or actually his dreadlocks, so probably a few months back at least, and decide this is kind of how I want to present myself. It has nothing to do with anything. And the ironic thing is that these people will say, oh, learn your history. This hairstyle was from here and this culture was from this and this time and whatever. The actual history of the world shows that people moved through continents and countries for various reasons, trade, all sorts of stuff, and they picked up things that were functional to them, and they also traded things. And you know what? They also stole things. But a lot of the times that was treasure and stuff. It wasn't a freaking hairstyle. Okay? Some people that do that stuff actually do it as an homage as well. I know some people get all bent out of shape when, say, a celebrity dresses in a sort of costume from an era or a culture that was hundreds of years old that has tradition, and they were doing it for, say, a part of their stage show or their performance. That doesn't make me cringe either. I think that that's an homage. That person has chosen something out of that culture and given it a spotlight that it might not have in our fast-paced Western world. They've put it on stage for people to enjoy, and they've made a show out of it. I don't think it's disrespecting it, unless, like I said at the start of the episode, unless they've deliberately got it in order to make it look stupid. Now, I'm talking about the Katy Perry thing a long time ago. She did a version of Unconditional, like her song Unconditionally, and it's a pretty song. It's really nice. It even features an androgynous model in the video. It's very inclusive, quote unquote. And she ended up performing it at the VMAs in a geisha costume and everything, and people really had a go at it. And looking back on it, I can see that she's doing traditional dance moves. She's actually been trained and studied to do this performance, to give it the respect and to incorporate it into her performance. And you can see her struggle to carry the notes in order to get the steps right. And also, she wasn't just doing it to get fans or to get people to pay to see her. They were already paying to see her. She didn't need to gain any followers or fans. She was putting on a performance for them. and kind of taking them to a place where they hadn't maybe even thought about that before. I mean, how many in today's world, and I know this was a while ago that she did this performance, but how do you really think that teenagers coming up are thinking about the traditions of old? Are they thinking about the Japanese geishas? Hey, on that note, by the way, when we first got a dog of mine, how old was I think I was about 17. We were debating whether or not to call her geisha. How's that for you then? Did I appropriate that culture? No. We thought it was pretty. We thought that it was kind of out of the middle of nowhere because not many people would have that as a name for a pet. Not many people thought about that aspect of that culture in our world. So I don't really think there was anything to that besides the fact that she saw something really nice and she wanted to incorporate it into her show and give it a spotlight, create a sequence or an atmosphere or a feeling. And I actually think it was kind of really interesting. It's very artistic. If you're just going to borrow something that you think is amazing, I don't see a problem with that. That's art. Art belongs to everybody. And thank you so much to that culture for creating this aesthetic, this imagery that can be used in a different way. So down here in Australia, we either don't know about stuff or we don't give a shit about things. But I found an article on the cultural appropriation that is existing in Australia. And this goes on to what I would say, I can understand this. So when, for example, someone comes here and they want to create some art and they copy, say, dot paintings from the Aboriginal culture that we have here, and then they sell them as their own and that kind of stuff, and it's traditional, and they make money for it and they don't credit the original artist. Now that sucks. I see that in tourist shops all the time. I see someone taking credit for something where it's not really legit and it's not the genuine article, yet these people are shopping it as that they are an Aboriginal artist, for instance, or they're just not saying that they're not an Aboriginal artist and then, they're carrying on making money from it. I get that. Yes, I get that. However, the article went on to explain that there was something between Kylie Jenner, one of the Kardashian, between her and Zendaya, who's an actor, was a child actor. It was in The Greatest Showman and is actually getting more traction now with her acting as an adult. Her hair was seen as a negative, whereas when Kylie Jenner copied it, it was borrowing from a culture, a minority culture, and it was used to get power. What the fuck are you on about? They're both famous as shit. They're both pretty well off. I'm sure neither of them care about who's borrowing ideas from somebody else's hairstyle. I just keep looking at some of these articles, and as you know, it's very rare now to actually find an article of substance. It's usually just biased opinions from college students that have been given a degree in something that is not going to matter. And all I can think about is their editor has said, hey, you need to give us a 1,200 word article by Tuesday. And it's already Monday morning. This is playground shit. This is stuff that does not matter. Please, a celebrity's hairstyle, a rando walking down the street that happens to have dreadlocks in their hair. Your tax dollars have been sent overseas to be a part of a war. So how does that make you feel? Does it make you feel the same way as when you walk into a friend's house, say that has the decor of a Japanese traditional room with the paper screens and that kind of stuff? Does that make you feel the same way or what? Because you should care about one of them a little more than the other. Put it in perspective. Or what about when you see the big beefy guy with the kanji on his arm that he got when he was on a Kentucky tour when he was younger? Are you going to say something to him about that? Me? Personally, I just like to let people walk around with a menu item written on them that they don't know about. That's where I stand with that kind of stuff. Each to their own. Let people do what they want. They don't mean anything by it. They're just living their life. It's okay. Calm down. The world is not going to end if a white guy has dreadlocks. Don't want to be one of those people that's asking you to sub and like, but if you feel like commenting or liking, that would help me out. It'll give me the power to do more of these episodes.